Hey, welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and this is the space to be for high vibe people looking to create a beautiful life and business. Let's do this. Welcome back to the podcast, my beautiful friends. I'm Leticia Ringe, your coach, and today we are talking about feminine energy in romantic relationships. First things first, we're talking about feminine energy, not women or femininity. We all, regardless of gender, hold both masculine and feminine energy within us. Please listen to the previous 2 episodes to understand polarity and masculine energy. This episode is here to provide more information for you all about what feminine energy looks like within romantic relationships, and it's here to support those of you who want to deepen into your feminine energy within your romantic relationships. It's also here to support those of you who want to primarily be in your masculine energy within your romantic relationships so that you can understand how to support your partner within their feminine, because it is a symbiotic relationship, which means the better your partner is in their feminine energy, the more you'll be able to be in your masculine energy. So it really is in both parties' interests to understand both masculine and feminine energy so that you can support each other in approaching the relationship from the pole that you're choosing to approach the relationship from. Now, again, I remind you, you can choose to primarily approach your romantic relationship from one pole of energy, or you might decide to be more fluid and it will be context specific so that when one of you needs to be in your masculine energy, the other is in the feminine. Now, know that this will happen in either case. It's just that you might decide that you primarily want to approach the relationship from one specific energy in order to go deeper into that particular energy. However, the choice is up to you whether you want to do that or not. In today's episode, we'll be talking about what feminine energy looks like, remembering that this is not an exhaustive list. You can add to it from your own research and experience. We'll then be talking about what feminine energy needs to function from the masculine. We'll also talk about what feminine energy needs from itself to function healthily. And finally, 3 ways to approach a relationship from your feminine energy today. So first things first, what is feminine energy? Here are some words that represent feminine energy: soft, open, intuition, body, receives, expresses, emotional, experience, wild, free, enjoys, follows, requests, inspires, surrenders, more, rests, loves, plays, flows, spontaneous, subjective, qualitative, connects, nurtures, allows, rituals. As you'll probably notice from this list, the words used are less quantifiable than the words we use to express masculine energy. And I'll remind you of the reason why. It's because masculine energy is really about logic, the mental, the mind, the intellect, which uses the language that we use, English and French and Spanish and German and all the languages we all use to communicate with each other, to describe what it is. So it's speaking the same language, whereas feminine energy is not coming from the mind. It's not coming from the intellect. It is not mental. It is about the body. It's about emotions. It's about intuition. These are not coming from the mind or the intellect. It's a different source of power, and we're using the mind and the intellect to talk about it. So it's kind of like we're speaking a different language altogether, but using English to speak Spanish or French. So there is this disconnect that is inherent when we talk about feminine energy. So just know if it feels harder to understand what feminine energy means compared with the masculine, that you're right. It is harder because you're using your mind to understand it. So instead, you might like to experience these concepts instead to really understand what the difference is between them. All right, let's now talk about what feminine energy needs from the masculine in order to function in this symbiotic relationship. The first thing is, from the masculine, the partner who's holding the feminine energy pole needs to feel cherished. Now, cherished means protected and cared for. The feminine needs this in order to be within the feminine from the masculine, so that it knows that it's safe and it knows that it's being looked after. If the feminine doesn't have this, then it's not going to feel safe to follow. It's not going to be able to surrender, to open, to trust, and do all these beautiful things that it gets to do from this open-hearted, loving, trusting place that the masculine needs in order to do its job, which is to lead and decide and direct, etc. So as the person holding the masculine pole of the relationship, you will be able to do your job more fully and healthily when you practice cherishing your partner, when you practice protecting your partner and caring for your partner. If you're noticing that you're not getting the openness and the surrender and all of these beautiful things that you're desiring, it's probably because you're not providing this feeling of being cherished to your partner. And that might be a beautiful conversation starter for you to have with your partner. Secondly, what the feminine needs from the masculine in order to function is your attention, presence, and awareness. Without this, the feminine will not be able to do its job. So if you notice that you're finding it hard to give your partner your attention or your presence or your awareness, that is a really beautiful indication that you need to go away and ask yourself what you need to do in order to do that. If you're not able to give your attention, it could be that you're too distracted, that you've got too many things going on, that you're trying to give attention to more than one thing at the same time, which isn't good for the masculine, which is better with singular focus. If you're not feeling present or you don't know how to be present, you want to learn how to practice presence, how to be in the present moment, how to be present with your partner when they're in front of you. A common complaint from the feminine is that the person in the masculine is not being present. This will be a complaint that you have because of this singular focus, right? But when you're with your partner and you're looking to them to seek inspiration and get that information that you need to make great decisions, you're going to need to be present, and you'll need to learn how to do everything in your power to be present in that moment. And that is a skill that you will learn. It is also a skill to learn how to practice awareness. So if you're not able to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of what your partner is emitting within their feminine, then you need to learn how to practice that in order to create what the feminine needs in order to emit that information and in order to inspire you. The third thing that the feminine needs from the masculine is to feel like they are being seen and heard. So think about what it means to feel seen and heard. First of all, that attention, presence, and awareness is very helpful. Creating containers in order to see your partner and to hear from them is also really important. And finally, giving them space to express without judgment is also really, really important. What the feminine wants to feel is understood. So even just learning how to practice active listening, where you are validating your partner for how they feel. And when you do that, it doesn't mean that you are agreeing with them and saying that the way you feel is wrong or that you need to both feel the same way. That's not what validation is about. Validation is about showing your partner that you're hearing them. I hear you, and this is what I'm hearing from you. Is that right? Check in and ask them. Empathize with them. I can understand why you're feeling this way. That doesn't mean that it's the right or the wrong way. It just means that you understand why they would be feeling that way. And the more that your partner feels this understanding, honestly, the quieter they'll get, the less they'll need to express because they can see that they're being understood. The person gets louder and starts projecting more onto you as the masculine when they don't feel like you're hearing them. They just start yelling and screaming, and it then becomes a unhealthy expression of feminine energy. So you can support a healthy expression of feminine energy by learning how to make your partner feel seen and heard, and giving that understanding, validating them, empathizing with them, which is also understanding them, is how you do that. Safety is also really important for the masculine to provide the feminine in order for the feminine to function. The way you do that is through creating containers, having clear leadership, no go with the flow energy. You want to give them a container, give them a direction, show them that you've got them, that you're holding them, that this is how we're going to approach it. Intentional action. You have got the person in their feminine. Provide spaces for your partner to express to you how they're feeling, what their desires are, what's going on for them. This communication is so incredibly important because you in your masculine need that inspiration from the person within their feminine, and they're only going to give that to you if they feel safe to do so. Having a container to do that is a really easy way to make that person feel safe. Now, the feminine also needs from the masculine time to transition between energies. This is more important given the world we live in, which is constantly seeking that we do more, working, rather than being in that feminine flowing energy, in that playful energy. So particularly if your partner has been at work all day or they've been leading in any way, in order to transition into that feminine energy when they're in relationship with you, they will need time and space to do that. They may need time to rest and relax first. So you want to make sure that you factor that in within your expectations of what the person within their feminine can give to you. They need that time to transition. Finally, the person within their feminine, just like you within your masculine, needs to feel appreciated and valued just as much as the masculine. Masculine energy is just as valuable and just as important equally as the feminine. But we live in a world that doesn't understand or value the feminine energy as much as the masculine energy, although I think we're all realizing how important it is through its absence. So you want to make sure that you are letting your partner know that you really appreciate and value the energy that they bring. Nextly, what does feminine energy need from itself to function healthily? So you as the partner holding the feminine energy pole in the relationship need to value feminine energy as equal to masculine energy. This is more important to share here in feminine energy because of the world we live in, because we don't as a society really understand or value feminine energy. It means we need to do more work within ourselves to value it. We have an internalized system of oppression around feminine energy. So we've got to make sure that we are valuing our feminine energy as just as important and just as valuable and equal to masculine energy. Secondly, we've got to recognize that there is power in allowing ourselves to be led and inspire. Typically, in our society, we give a lot of value to leading, and we think that the more we all lead, then the more power we have, without appreciating that we can't all lead, and nor do we want to, and that we actually have less energy when we're leading, right? So you want to allow places in your life where you get to be led, and your romantic relationship, if that's the pole you're choosing to come from, it might be one of them. Just because you can lead doesn't mean you should or that you want to. And it doesn't mean that you're giving up your power. You actually create more power for yourself by allowing yourself to be led within specific areas of your life. And particularly when you find that being in your feminine energy replenishes you. So recognize your power in allowing yourself to be led and to inspire. You give really important information to your partner by being in your feminine energy that they wouldn't get if you were not in your feminine energy. And you can't be in both the masculine and the feminine at the same time in any valuable way. So you being in that feminine energy is a gift to the relationship and also to your partner. The feminine energy also needs from itself in order to function healthily, space to be led. So again, just because you can lead doesn't mean you should. And you've got to give your partner the space to lead. You've got to give yourself the space to be led. If you're not doing that, the leadership doesn't exist. All leaders need followers. And so you create that space to be led by allowing yourself to be led, by trusting your partner who's holding the masculine pole in their leadership, and by experiencing fully that leadership. Nextly, you want to be practicing vulnerability. This can probably feel like a really hard thing to do. I know for me personally, it's been one of the hardest parts of feminine energy, leaning into that vulnerability. But your masculine energy partner can't lead without it. If you're not expressing how you're feeling, expressing what your desires are, and if you're judging those desires and those feelings and then not sharing them as a result, the person within their masculine can't make good decisions for the relationship because they don't have real feedback. So learning how to share vulnerably and to share without passing blame on yourself or your partner is a real skill that you get to learn to support yourself to express your feminine energy in a healthy way. Next, your feminine energy needs your connection with your body and your intuition. So if you're not feeling connected to these things, it's something that you want to learn. Feminine energy also needs you to rest and relax. It's not something that's going to come through working and through jumping from one thing to the next. It needs time and space. It needs rest and relaxation in order for you to open, to soften, to trust, to come into your body, your heart. You can't be spending all day at work thinking and leading and then jump right into your feminine energy. It's just not going to work. And finally, you need to not project onto your partner, but instead share with your partner. You want to make sure that you're not blaming and shaming and putting your feelings and emotions onto your partner. Instead, you want to share with them. You want to invite them in. And you'll only do that when you recognize that you're not your emotions. You simply get to communicate your emotions. Yeah, you get to share them and recognize that they're not right, they're not wrong, they're not good, they're not bad. They just are information that your partner needs to know in order to make great decisions for you and the relationship. Finally, let's talk about 3 ways you can approach your relationship from your feminine energy today. Number 1, stop leading and start requesting to be led instead. When you request to be led, you give your partner the opportunity to lead. You also let them know that you're going to trust them and back them and appreciate them and respect them. And that then allows them to take that role of being the leader more seriously and generously. So stop leading and start requesting to be led. The other piece of this is, rather than thinking, I can just do it myself, so I may as well do it, or they're not doing it fast enough, you got to slow down and pause and create that space for your partner to actually lead. So even though you can do it, it doesn't mean that you should. Request that your partner lead you there instead. Number 2, allow yourself to be held by your partner's containers. So when your partner tells you about the container that they've created or that they have created a container, you want to allow yourself to be held by that container. Experience it. Honestly, allow yourself to experience the container before you decide whether it's good or bad. Show your partner that you trust them, that you're willing to experience the container that they've created for you by actually experiencing it. You can then give your feedback later, or they will know simply by you emoting or sharing your desires in the future. That is beautiful, but you're not going to have that information to share and to inspire your partner unless you allow yourself to actually be held and experience the container they've created. Who knows, you might learn something new that you didn't know before about what you actually desire. Number 3, practice sharing your true feelings and desires vulnerably and without filters or projection. This is a skill in and of itself. First of all,
being vulnerable enough with yourself to even identify what your feelings and desires are, and then learning how to actually communicate that without those filters and without projecting onto your partner. This is a skill because we live in a world where we don't know a lot about emotions and feelings and the body and intuition and desires. We are disconnected from these largely as a society. However, as conscious people practicing healthy feminine energy, you have been working on this for some time. And so the more that you allow people to see these emotions that you experience, to understand your desires, the more opportunity you give your partner to lead in a healthy way. Vulnerability is super important, and sharing rather than projecting in order to achieve that. All right, my beautiful friends, so there we have it. What feminine energy is, what feminine energy needs from the masculine energy partner, what feminine energy needs from itself in order to function healthily, and 3 ways to approach and deepen into your feminine energy within your romantic relationship today. Now, if you want to go deeper into your feminine energy within your romantic relationship, or within your masculine energy within your romantic relationship, or you want to go deeper into creating polarity within your romantic relationship, whether you're single or in a romantic relationship right now, and whether you'd like support as an individual or as a couple, I recommend that you go right now and check out my Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. Right now, I have spaces to support you in that exact endeavor. So what you can do is follow the prompts to apply, and then I will come back to you if it looks like you are a good fit from your application, and I'll invite you to a free coaching call with me. You can come to this coaching call on your own or with your partner. And then on that coaching call, I will support you to get clear on what you most desire from your relationship and what is standing in the way of what you desire. This is an extremely beneficial call, whether I invite you into the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program or not, because you will now know what your work is to move you towards where you desire. And if you are going to be invited into the Conscious Relationship Coaching Program, you will also then have an experience of coaching with me so that you can assess whether you want to prioritize conscious relationship coaching right now in your life. And I also get to assess whether you are truly a good fit for the program. If you're curious to learn more, head to leticiaringe.com/coaching. Follow the prompts there to submit your application, and then I'll come back to you with an invitation to a call if it sounds like you'd be a great fit. All right, my beautiful friends, I'd love to hear any questions you have on the subjects of polarity, masculine energy, or feminine energy, and we will continue our conversations in future episodes. I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and I appreciate you so much. If you would like support one-to-one as you up-level your life, business, or relationships in a conscious, intentional, and love-focused way, then head to leticiaringe.com/coaching. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.